In this lesson, we'll continue to explore working with render settings to achieve the look and feel we want for our scene. Okay, so this is our image set to a low quality render here, and this one only took about 1 minute and 5 seconds. So now that we have a good understanding of what we're adjusting, what we need to adjust, let's come to our quality settings here and let's kick it up an extra notch. But I also want to make a quick adjustment to really bring some warmth into this space by activating some of our daylight portals, since we have a lot of curtain wall and glazing on this particular model. So to do that, I'm going to jump to show model real quick, and this will allow me to edit anything that's in there, and then we can later re-render if we need to. But once I go back to show model, I'm going to move this window over just a bit. I'm going to set our section box. And once I set that, I'll move this over one more time, you'll notice a small box appears in our modeled image here. And when I click on that, I'm going to jump to floor plan second level, the area we're working on. You'll notice we have a box here. And when I'm activating these daylight portals, anything that's within that box, Revit will take the time out to actually render that and use that to bring in the light into our space. So the strategy we've been using from lesson 1 is to really only focus our attention on the particular scene at hand so we can reduce our render time. So this is another good way to do that. So what we're going to do is simply adjust the size of this section box so that Revit focuses its attention only on the glazing and windows that we want them to. So I'm just going to click and drag this bottom area and bring that up to about right here. And what that'll do is once I activate my daylight portals, Revit will only focus on what's going on here and here. Now, we also need to make this adjustment vertically. We've done it horizontally on a floor plan, but we need to do this vertically since we know we have a lot of glazing and curtain walls on the second and the first floor. So I'm going to jump, not making any more adjustments and keeping this box visible. I'm going to jump to a section view, and you'll see that box appears. And again, here's the area that we're creating a nice scene for. So if I don't want to include what's going on my ground floor, I'm simply going to take this bottom section box and drag it up to where it only includes what's going on the second floor. So now I can jump back to our 3D and we can start making some more adjustments. So let's jump into our render setting here, and we're going to go to edit, and we're going to copy in the medium settings. And we're going to kick this up just a couple of notches. So we definitely, when we were looking at this earlier, we know we wanted to increase our image precision. So we had a few jagged edges, or looks like little squares of polygons around some of the straight lines. So let's jot this up maybe 2 extra levels from 4 to 6. And the neat thing is, as we're looking at this, we have a nice graphic here under each one of these settings that gives us an idea of what we're doing and what we're adjusting. So basically, by adjusting this level and moving it to the right, we're increasing that number. So that means we're moving from a lower quality image as far as image precision is concerned to a higher quality precision image. Let's take the same logic to some of the other adjustments we can make as well. So really quickly, I'm going to adjust my reflections. I definitely wanted to clean those up. Those had a lot of noise in them, so let's double those. I'm not too worried about refractions because I don't have too many elements hidden or placed behind any transparent elements, so we don't really have to worry about that too much. But I do want to adjust my blurred reflections. So if you recall, when we did our initial render, a lot of the reflections that were coming from the furniture on the ground were definitely present, and we definitely knew what they were, but they were a bit noisy, and I really want to smooth those out. So we'll kick this up as well. So we'll go from a 3 to a 5 on that. And again here, I'm not too worried about any of my refractions because I really don't have anything hidden behind anything transparent other than what's going on outside. So now I'd also like to soften up my shadows just a bit. You remember those shadows we had kind of creeping on the floor were looked off just a bit. I want to make those a little more realistic and soften them up. So when I look at here at soft shadow precision, I'm going to make sure I check that box so that's enabled. But when I look at the graphics, I know that to the left, we definitely get our shadows, but they're a bit noisy. And as I move my dial to the right, this graphic lets me know that moving to the right will definitely increase the quality and smooth things out. So let's do the same thing here. Again, I'm not going to dial this all the way up. I might just kick it up a couple of notches here because I really want to pay attention to the render time, and I don't want to take too long rendering this if I don't need to. So another thing we need to activate, since we set our section box, is our daylight portal options. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And basically what that says is if I have doors, windows, or curtain walls, I can use those as portals for daylight. So basically letting the light in through those openings and bouncing around throughout our scene. Now, we don't have any doors or windows within this area. This is a pretty open concept, but we definitely have a lot of curtain walls. So I'm going to check that. And since we've already defined the area of our section box, that's going to help reduce the render time when setting up these daylight portals. So now I can click OK. And we're going to go ahead and render this one. And I'm going to hit render, and we'll see how long this one takes us after kicking it up to medium and also making some other additional adjustments. So let me go ahead and render this, and we'll check and see these improvements. Okay, so this is our rendered image once we stepped it up to a medium quality, but we also made adjustments to some things like our daylight portals, as well as our reflections and our line precision. And you can see the huge jump in quality by doing so. A lot of our shadows and the soft shadows we were trying to achieve here now look a lot more realistic. The reflections on the floor here from the furniture has a lot less noise. It's a lot more of a clean look to it. Also, along our structural members here, a lot of that noise has disappeared as well. But by activating our daylight portals, not only do we get to experience the effect that the rendering had initially, bringing in the light here, but it actually allowed us to bring in light a little bit more further into this space. So we have light bouncing off of chairs here in this area, and the light also reaches deep into the middle core of our building here to our elevator shaft. So this creates a really nice effect, and it really gives you a feel of being in this room in the evening time on the West Coast while the sun's going down. So to kind of recap what we've covered in this course, we basically learned what you can expect on your first day rendering in Revit. We started by specifying a location and time and date for our setting that we wanted to visualize. We also learned how to assign and adjust materials to different elements throughout our scene. And once we made those adjustments, we were able to set our lighting fixtures and lighting accessories to enhance the naturally lit space with just a touch of artificial lighting. Once we set the stage for our scene, we then explored how we can use different render settings to achieve the maximum quality with the least amount of time. We covered a few best practices and tips that can help streamline your process and reduce the amount of time spent waiting for images to render. So with that, I hope this course makes your first day rendering in Revit a little less of a mystery and much more rewarding and enjoyable.